So as I said, my name's Ashley. I'm part of the customer success team here at Float. I also have my colleague Matea on the Zoom link, who's going to jump in and do some of the demo in a little bit. Today's session is called Becoming a Cash Flow Ninja. So we really hope that, through today's session, you'll maybe learn some tips and tricks that you can take to your own business and implement them, with your own situations and what if questions. The session today will last in and around half an hour. If you have got any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box. Depending on how you have your Zoom laid out, it'll be in the top or bottom bar, and we'll get to the questions at the end. But if you think of them during the session, pop them in as and when they come up. You'll also receive an email tomorrow with a recording of this session, so you can watch it back in your own time, and you can even share it with your team and colleagues. So without further ado, I think we'll go through to the next slide. So quickly, what we're going to be running through is a super quick overview of Float, because I'm sure you've been using it for a little while. We're going to do a recap of training sessions 1 and 2, because this is the third in a 3-part series, just in case you've forgotten or you couldn't make it. And also there's some good points within those sessions that is worth reiterating, because there's some good habits to kind of keep on top of there. Then Matea is going to show you how to answer some of those pressing questions you might have within a demo. And like I say, we'll jump, so we'll do the most commonly asked questions that we get in support, and then we'll jump into the Q&A at the end. So super quick intro to Float, because like I say, I'm sure you've been using it for a while, but this is a quick snapshot of what it looks like. We are a visual operational cash flow forecasting management tool. We connect to QuickBooks, Xero, and FreeAgent. We have an automatic connection that we sync every 24 hours. It's a one-way connection, so we receive information, but we don't put any information back. We help you answer burning questions like, when will my cash reserves run out? What if that client pays us late? How much cash do we need to break even? And when can I take money out of my business? And these are actually some of the questions that we're going to cover within the demo. So this is a slide that I quite like, because it's quite a contrast to what Float looks like. This is a cash flow spreadsheet. And you may have had one of these before using Float, and you might have transitioned over to Float. So it's just worth mentioning that if you have been using it for a while now, I hope you have made the transition. We've got the spreadsheet input within Float that you can kind of copy and paste some information over. If you have got any difficulties with that, please do let us know. But we hope that you're finding Float, compared to a spreadsheet like this, a bit more visual and easy to digest. So yeah, any questions on that, please do let us know. So within the first training session, we went through reconciliation and our unmatched items, double checking the bank accounts, manage table layout, updating invoices and bills, and creating your first budget. So I'm just going to quickly do a quick summary on these before we move on. So reconciliation, and this is really important. As I mentioned, this is one of the good things to get into as a habit. So you want to make sure your reconciliation or your unmatched items are up to date. If you use FreeAgent or QuickBooks, you won't have the figure on the top of your Float account, like the example here with Xero. But it's a good idea to keep on top of these, depending on how many transactions you have coming and going. This might be a monthly job, or it might be, even a daily job. But I use the word accurate a lot during these training sessions. And this is one of the key areas that if you have this as up to date as possible, it's going to give you that accurate cash flow going forward. The other thing that I want to highlight is checking bank accounts. So this is very much within the setup. So we encourage you to kind of check this, one of the first steps during your setup, to make sure you've got the right accounts coming through. But it's worth mentioning that you can go into that cog at the end and add in accounts at any stage. Things might have changed. You might want to see what your cash flow looks like with a certain account on, and then you can just turn it off again. It's like a super quick import, and it's really easy to do. So it's definitely not something you can't touch again. So like I say, if circumstances change, please do revisit that section. The managed table layout. So again, it's probably a little bit more to do with the setup at the start of your journey with Float, but similar to the accounts, if things change, you might have something that's super important to you in quarter 1. But in quarter 2, it's not as important. So you want to kind of drag and drop that account down lower in the table so you don't see it quite as quickly and frequently. So you can really manipulate and manage your table layout to really look and tailor to how you want to operate. You can create groups in there. So the groups are a quick way of kind of making your table quite short and compact. So for example, I love my example here with this is office costs. So if your office costs, you want to see the high level figure for all of your office costs together, but you don't need to see the utility bills, the cleaning bill, all those little nuances in between. So you can create a group and then you can collapse that when you're in the main view. So you don't have to scroll through all of those different ones, if you like. There's also a new feature called creating a row. If you don't have this enabled on your account and you'd like to, then please do let us know. Creating a row is very similar to creating a group in that kind of concept. You're categorizing all your stuff, but I'll use the office costs again as an example. So yeah, your office costs, you've got your cleaning fees, you've got your utility bills, and they don't change. They're the same, month in and month out. So instead of creating the granularity and having budgets for all those individual accounts, you just want one budget for your office costs. And that's what creating a row can do. So it's a bit of a quicker way. You don't get quite as much granularity, but for things that don't change, it's quite useful for that. Invoices and bills. So this is again similar to the reconciliation and unmatched. It's really good to get into the habit of checking these because if these are up to date, then your cash flow is going to be accurate. We'll pop a little red exclamation mark above either of those tabs if you've got any bills or invoices past their expected date. And the really important reason that we do this is because Float just has no additional information on those. And so we don't know where to plot them. So we pull them to today's date and that will keep moving. So, if you don't do anything with them today, it'll be tomorrow and so on. So depending on the value and the quantity, that can really skew your cash flow. So, going in and updating these dates is really important. If you don't have additional information on that's fine. You can use the toggle at the right-hand side and exclude them. It doesn't completely delete them, it just excludes them. And it means that, once you've got that additional information, you can come back in and re-add it. So you're capturing that accurate cash flow there. And then we spoke about creating budgets, obviously. I'm sure many of you, I hope, have been creating budgets. So I won't go too much into this. The one thing I will say is when you've got the budget ends on, you've got the opportunity to push it right through to the end of the cash flow. And where appropriate, I would really, get you guys to push that as far out as you can. The reason being is you've got a full 3 years to kind of play around with. And months go pretty quick, quarters go pretty quick. So it just kind of saves you time in the long term, if you pop it right as far as you can, because once you receive that additional information, you can go in and edit and tweak, and you don't need to create the budget from scratch. So where appropriate, do really try and push that right to the end of the cash flow. So within the second training session, I promise I won't be speaking too much longer. We'll jump into the demo after this. We touched on scenarios, and I won't really go much into this because Matteo is going to be showing you a few different scenario versions to help you answer those what if questions in the demo. But scenarios are kind of that place that you can answer those what if questions, so that you can really play and manipulate around with your data. So as I say, we'll show you that in the demo. The daily breakdown tab we kind of touched on. So if you're on your main cash flow, for example, and you see a really high spike or a really low dip, and you can't get quite as much detail from the main cash flow, you could check the dates, go into the daily breakdown, pop the dates in, and then you can really get a bit more of a magnified view in that section to see what's going on. So it gives you just that bit more granularity on your cash flow. And then the Insights tab, there's heaps of really cool reports in there. We are trying to make them all downloadable, but there's a few that aren't just at the moment. But there's really great reports in there that help you gain insights into your cash flow. There's a few in there that help you keep your cash flow accurate, love that word, and a few that are quite good for sharing with investors, board, or even your team. So I think we'll just move on from here because I don't want to speak too much on this because we'll be covering some of this in the demo. So I'm just going to go through these. Just quickly before we jump into the demo, these are a few reviews from our customers. We love hearing from you guys, be it through a review or through support. So if you have been using the product for a while and you want to pop in a review, please do so. You can get links on the website. And yeah, we love hearing from you guys. It's like a little present each time. So please do jump on there. And so, yeah, I'm just going to come out of here and stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to pass over to Matea.
Thanks, Ashley. I'll just start sharing my screen.
Awesome.
I can find it. Hang on a second. Okay.
Apology.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Right. Can you see that now, my demo company?
Yeah, I can see that fine.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so you may be asking yourself, when will my cash reserves run out? It's a really common question, and Float has a very useful threshold feature which will tell you the date that your cash is likely to fall below a certain amount. It defaults to nil up here, but we realize that not everyone's threshold will be nil, and you may have a line of credit or overdraft you need to take into account. So the feature allows you to set your own threshold, which could be a positive or a negative figure. So I could go into here and I could set that for negative 10,000. And when I do that, right, the date's changed. So it's actually showing me 8th of August, so that's pretty soon. But you can change that to whatever you like. And as your budgets move, as you change these budgets, your graph's going to move and that date will just automatically move as well. So the more budgets you update, the more accurate that date is going to be. Another question you may be asking yourself is, what if a customer pays us late? So due to the challenges with COVID, it's becoming more common at the moment for businesses to struggle with invoices being paid late or not at all. So when I go to the invoices due tab, I can see all of my overdue invoices. It might be that you have several invoices that are overdue. In my case, I do have some here. It's this big red bar sitting at today's date. This was what Ashley mentioned before. So Float is just very optimistic. It thinks I'm going to receive all of this today at today's date. So what you need to do to make it more accurate is to go through, change those dates. And there's this really cool feature actually in, so if I click on City Limousines and imagine we've agreed some new payment terms with our customer and they're going to pay us 50% up front. So I can just click add new payment. I'm just going to change that to a percentage. So they pay 50% up front. And then maybe they'll pay 25% on, let's say the 26th of August at a new payment, and they'll pay the remaining 25% in September. By doing this, Float will split that invoice and will pop it back into different dates. So split it all up, and it won't split that invoice in your accounting platform. Like Ashley said before, it's just a one-way sync. So you can really change this as much as you like, but it's a great little feature there. And just remember, as Ashley mentioned, if these customers you really don't think you're going to get this money, I would just exclude it from the cash flow and it will exclude it there. So it won't be sitting at today's date anymore. So really important to do, really important to keep on top of. Another question you may be asking yourself is, how much cash do we need to break even? This is a big one. So just going to go back to your cash flow tab. And to understand precisely where this point is and what you need to do to get there, it's vital to know how much cash you have coming into and going out of your business. In this case, a cash flow forecast is really powerful. And what you need to do is understand the minimum level sales that you need to avoid your business making a loss. So to establish your break-even point, and we're looking at this net cash movement figure down here, you need to put in all of your expenses. Fixed cost ones, they're easy, same every single month or fortnight. Put in your variable costs as well, estimations if you're not quite sure. But then you'll come up with a figure of your total cash out. And you can see in August, I've got a total cash out of 22K. And I've got total cash in magically of exactly 22K as well. So I know that's my level of sales that I need to break even in August. And I can see that their net cash flow is 0. So I'm not making any money, but I'm not losing any money. And I can actually change this view. Instead of days, I could change this to months. which also just zooms in a little bit, and I can see that, yep, in August I'm not making any, I'm not losing any. So that's my I'm breaking even. So to map out potential situations, and you can use scenarios as well, such as increases in prices. So created one already magically, increases in prices. So what I've done here is, in this scenario, I've created a new budget here, which stacks on top of that budget I've got on my base. So I've added 10K there. And now I can see my picture's looking quite different. I can see in October, well, in September, I've still got more cash in than cash out. But in October, my cash out is greater than my total cash in. So if I go down to my net cash movement is negative now, so I'm not breaking even anymore. So actually my minimum sales required in this circumstance, in this world where my cost of goods sold prices have increased quite a lot, my sales need to increase as well to break even. So maybe I need to dip into my cash savings to bring that break even point back up. Maybe I need to look at overspending down here. Maybe I can cut some costs. Or maybe I need to apply for a grant or a loan. So if you do this, you're just in a better position to see what your cash flow is going to be doing and what it may be doing coming up, so you can prepare for these situations. And another question you may be asking yourself, I'm just going to go back to the base, is when can you take money out of your business? So understanding what cash is coming in and going out of your business will give you a clearer picture of what's left after you've paid all of your expenses. The end balance at the end of the table, we'll go find it. Yeah, here it is. This will give you a clearer picture of how much cash is left over. So how much can you pay yourself? So you could put it right into your base. You could add in a salary up here. I've done it in a scenario. So here it is, salary. So I've just popped in a budget for 3,000 a month, and I'm looking at my end balance and saying, yeah, well, actually in August, there's negative cash movement. So maybe I can't pay myself that much, or maybe I have to cut spending somewhere else. But in the coming months, that looks about right. I could even pay myself a bit more. So just putting in that figure and having a look at how much you can pay yourself if everything remains the same is really good, and ensures you have an income that you can live on, which is really important, I'm sure, as you know. So when you've got multiple scenarios on the go, like I do, you could see them all at the same time. So if you go to your Insights tab and you click on Scenario Comparison, you can line them all up and you can see them all. They're still all relative to the base. They still all stack on top of the base, but you can see them side by side, and I could just toggle that off and I could toggle that off and have a look at what's happening. So it's great for people who love the graph, visual learners. And yeah, it's a really nice report. So I'll go back to the cash flow graph. And now I'm on to commonly asked questions. So manage table layout is one of them. In the current table, Float brings in any account that you've got in your accounting software where cash has touched it in the last 3 to 6 months, and it pops it in alphabetical order. But like Ashley said, you can change this around, and there's the one that Ashley was talking about, that office costs, that she's got that group there. So I can just click on that triangle, it pops back up. So I can go to manage table layout, and I can simply just drag and drop these into any order that I want. So like Ashley said, put the ones that you really want to see, really important to you, right at the top, and then put all the ones you're not so fussed about right down the bottom, and you can create these groups. If there's something here, you know, you created it in your accounting platform, an account, and you can't see it, you can just add it. So if you go add account, and we go select account, you can add anything that you've got in your chart of accounts in your accounting platform. So that's really handy, especially if you're creating a scenario and you're budgeting for something that hasn't had a cash transaction yet. It's a good place to add an account. So yeah, you can also, like Ashley mentioned, we've got this new feature called combining rows, and I can just demo what this looks like. So for example, if I wanted to combine printing and stationery postage. I'm not too fussed about that. I don't want to create a budget for every single month for these ones. I can just select them and go combine rows. And I'll call this something like sundry. Create that. I'm going to pop to the top. There it is there. I can see what I've put in it by clicking that triangle. But if I go back to my graph, I can just see it as one new row. It looks like an account. And the good thing about combining row is that I can just create one budget, like Ashley mentioned, one budget. I'm still in the scenario. I'll just pop back to my base. I can just create one budget for this. Whereas with a group, I can't create one budget for office costs as a whole. I still have to click down into it and create a budget for each one. So that's the difference. And you can just delete them again as well by clicking on that trash can. Just to note, when you do delete, for example, combined row, if I remove that, it will remove any budgets that I put in. So just a thing to be aware of. And yeah, another commonly asked question is VAT and tax. Float operates on a cash basis. We're looking at exactly how much money is entering and leaving the business at any given time. So we're thinking about the bank accounts. All transactions in float that come in here in these 3 months are tax inclusive of any tax VAT. So your budgets also need to be inclusive of any VAT or tax. So what you need to do is also make a budget for those tax or VAT repayments that are coming up. So if you pay that on a quarterly basis, you could create a quarterly budget. So I could go into here in July, create a budget every quarter. I know I pay it on the 7th in the UK. Budget ends on, let's say, end of cash flow. Like Ashley said, I'm just going to push that budget every single quarter till 2024. And I'm just going to put in an average, maybe let's say $3,000. And these are all estimates. But now you can see that 3,000 coming through every quarter. And when you've done your bookkeeping for the VAT period, when you know more what that figure is going to be, the idea is that you come back into this. So 2 clicks and you get back into it and change this, make it more accurate. The more accurate it will be if you keep changing it. So I know that's going to be actually it's 1520. So, and this one, I'm expecting it to be 6. So keep updating these budgets. And what you can do, if maybe you've got tax or VAT refunds instead of repayment, instead of payments. So I would change that and I would make it a negative. So that's money that's going to be coming in, not going out. So say that. And it's really important to do this for any corporation tax repayments as well. So they're probably going to be a one-off payment. So if I had a tax account down here somewhere, I would go into it and I would create a budget and I would create a one-off budget. So yeah, really important to include those numbers. They're going to have a big cash impact and you want to be able to prepare for that. So just finally, the last commonly asked question is budget versus actuals. And there's a really great report. I talk about it all the time. It's my favorite report in my insights tab. And it's called Budget Variance. It just shows you what budgets you set. I could have this actually last month compared to what actually happened. And this all flows through from your accounting platform automatically, and it shows you the differences. And this is really helpful because if you're getting those huge differences, you can go back to your budgets and have, we didn't receive this, we didn't pay this, we need to make these more accurate. What can we do? What's coming up? On the other hand, if you're getting really small variances, you can be more confident in your cash flow forecast, which is also very nice. So really important one to keep an eye on. And yeah, I think this report's great. So that's about it from me. I think we're going to questions now. Is that right, Ashley?
Yeah, that's right. So do you want to actually keep your screen up in case we've
Yeah,
got
sure.
questions we can quickly show on yours? So, oh, there's one question just popped through here. Is there any way to keep notes within Float? So yeah, Mathilda, do you want to kind of show us how you would create notes?
Yeah, sure. So for it, let's use that as an example. So I could click into any cell, and there's this notes little button here, very easily overlooked. I didn't find it for a while, but it's great because you can write anything you want here. You can't tag people just yet, but you could say, Matea, and then write estimate, and then actually could come back in and see that next time. So I'm going to save that. And when I click out of it, I can see that little dark triangle in the top right hand corner. So I know that there's notes in there. So Ashley will know next time she logs in, and there's my little note that I've left something for her. So
Awesome. Cool. Let's see if there's any other questions. I don't think there's anything just now. I hope that means we've both been pretty thorough. As mentioned, this is the third in a 3-part series. We will send you a recording of this tomorrow, so you can watch it back, share it with your colleagues or your team. And we'll also, there's a link to the other 2 sessions within the Help Centre that you can actually watch back if you didn't make it to those as well. Just while we're quickly on here, just to wrap up, the blue icon, the circular icon in the bottom right-hand corner is access to our support team. Like I said at the start, we love hearing from you guys, be it feedback or a question, please do send us a message. We are based over in Scotland, but we also have a team over in Australia. So we don't cover the 24-hour window just yet, but we do get back to you as quickly as we can. So please do pop us a message anytime in there. And yeah, at the top corner, there's access to the Help Centre. So there's lots of great articles and blogs and videos in here if you are in a pickle and you don't want to send a message just yet. So yeah, there's no follow-up questions coming through. So yeah, I hope that means that everybody has, nobody's got anything. But like I say, with these things, I've got a question in my mind, but it might pop up just after the session's finished. So do please pop your questions and support. Yeah, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Matea, is that everything from you?
Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, bye.